We finally got our DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and this thing honestly slaps pretty hard. We're going to talk a little bit about the specs, but you probably already know that. So I'm actually going to go use this in real life, real world situations and take this on a professional business trip. Like if you showed up on a professional shoot with just this, what would people say? I think you and I know that the quality of this camera is good enough, but I mean, it doesn't really look like it's good enough. My name is Alex, and this is the Car Creative channel where we take photos and videos of cars, and I bring you guys along for the journey. In this video, I'm traveling across Canada to Montreal with Subaru Canada, and we're gonna put this thing to the test against my professional cinema cameras. We're gonna mount this on some cars, we're gonna shoot some traditional style B-roll, and we're gonna see how well this thing performs in real world conditions. This thing shoots 4K 60. Now I'm really curious how well that 4K 60 frames per second holds up, because that's actually pretty darn impressive. We're gonna be shooting in D-Log-M most of the time, and switch between using manual settings and automatic settings. I think there's some situations where automatic's gonna be more beneficial, and some scenarios where we wanna control all the lighting going into the camera. Now, before we leave for Montreal, I gotta test this thing out on my own car to see what this thing's capable of. So let's go do some quick tests with the Volkswagen GTI. Now, I currently have the camera fully set to automatic, auto white balance, auto exposure. My ISO is set to between 50 and 400, and I'm using D-Log-M 10-bit. The flat color profile. Now I'm always shooting in different variable lighting conditions. Like when you're shooting cars or interior car vlogs like this, you definitely need to be able to adjust for lighting, and hopefully the camera will do a good job on its own. Now again, these are my first impressions, so hopefully you guys are seeing what I'm seeing, and you guys can be the judge of yourself as to whether or not you would shoot auto for the interior of a car. It also looks like the gimbal itself is kind of moving left and right a little bit. I would be curious if you can just fully lock that function. Don't know what that was. It's also a great test to see how well it's handling the micro shakes and those kinds of things in the car. One thing I'm noticing with the exposure of this camera is it is compensating for outside. So I'm curious about the D-Log-M, how well I can bring back the details of me, because I look pretty dark on the screen there. So hopefully you guys can see the before and after color correction to see how well you can push around these files, because that's one thing that I'm really curious about. Now, as you guys may know, when you want to control the light and have ideal settings on your camera, you need to have a shutter speed of double your frame rate. So when we're shooting at 4K 24, we're gonna set this to a shutter speed of 1/50. So I'm gonna throw on an ND filter with a CPL. So they are so hard to use if you've got fat fingers like me, because they're just so tiny. The reason I picked these ones up, whoa, see, case in point. The reason I picked these ones up, they were cost effective, and they had a CPL built in to the ND filter. So best case scenario, we're still in auto, but I can fully expose properly, and I can spin the CPL filter on the front of these to hopefully cut reflections off the windshield. All right, so here's a really cool thing about this whole thing is I have an app now connected to the gimbal, so I can control it from inside the car. I've got my phone mount right here, which you can see thanks to those CPL filters, and the audio is still connected to my mouth because it has that amazing DJI mic too. Now, in some fairness to the gimbal, my car has been lowered and is on stiffer suspension. So if this isn't working out perfectly, you know, I'd probably give some credit to the camera because the car is on a bit stiffer suspension, even when I put it on easier suspension mode with the DCC. As you guys might be able to tell, I've purchased the Creator Combo with my Osmo Pocket 3. It comes with the nice package, and more importantly for me, it comes with the microphone, which we're using right here. Now, I don't love when people just clip this thing around. I don't even love where it's set here, but I really honestly wanted to test if the audio was any good this close, this far. One thing that's fantastic about this microphone is that it has 32-bit float audio, which essentially is like raw photos or raw videos where you can really adjust the levels accordingly. So it's actually a really powerful tool to have because you can record externally and turn any of your microphones into 32-bit float. That's what we're doing right now. So if you like the audio quality, well, this is what you can get from a small pack. So not only are you getting a 4K cinema camera with a gimbal that can do full frame 60 frames per second. You're also getting a really great recording system and microphone. To me, that's pretty huge. Now, the other thing I wanted to test was if I could put the microphone on the back of the car, how well it would all work. Also, it's kind of windy right now. How's the audio? Does it sound okay? I clipped this onto the back of my license plate, and I was very happily surprised that it was still there when I was done my shooting, and the audio to me sounded pretty darn crispy. Again, having that 32-bit float so you can navigate ups and downs when you have louder noises, it's pretty clutch. Be honest, I'm just straight up grateful the mic was still on the back of the car. Part of the reason I bought this thing was to make sure that the mic worked with the system. So one of the big questions that I had when I was buying this camera is, can it do more than just mount it to a car and let it track and follow cars, or can you actually do more and shoot B-roll with this car? So I am actually going to turn this into 4K 60. We're going to just dance around the car a little bit and see if that footage is usable as well. We're here for the final stint of Subaru. I've been working with them last year and this year. We're launching the 2025 Subaru Forester. So this is the final event. I'm actually going to take a few clips with this today to see if I could use it in a professional setting, because typically if you're being paid by a big brand and you bring this size of camera, the odds of them taking you seriously is probably not very good. So I have my other cameras and I've been shooting with them, but I'm going to bring this camera as well. Of course, as an automotive photographer and videographer, I am reviewing this from that perspective, but this camera is so much more diverse than what us automotive content creators are using it for, because I mean, I've shot a lot of professional work before, so this camera is holding up to, well, not big professional cameras, but this camera is just one more tool in a bag of tricks that you can use to get the shot that you need to tell a better story. And that's ultimately what we're looking for. And I think the price point, if you can get your hands on one of these things, it packs so much punch for such a small camera. Very, very impressive. Now you can just see for yourself how well the footage holds up here, but I did ask one of the people that hired me, if I showed up with just the Osmo, what would he say? If I showed up with this camera the first time we ever met, would you ever hire me again?
Well, on first looks, I'd have to see the results. But you're the professional.
So there you go. Interesting results. If you've already proven that you can create a good product, then maybe they'll trust you with a very tiny camera like the Osmo Pocket 3. After a week of testing with the Osmo 3, I can officially say I am very well surprised with the image quality coming out of this camera. Of course, you see all the kids mounting this thing on the back of their car and making absolutely banging rollers, which I'm so looking forward to. In fact, my Move Max, the thing that you mount on the back of the car, is arriving today. So I'm very excited to showcase to you guys how well you can do rollers. Mounting this with my suction cups to the car did a great job already. The stabilization on the Osmo Pocket 3 is already fantastic, but I think when you hit those bigger bumps, that's where that Move Max stabilizer is going to come in clutch. I'm really excited to put another video together for you guys with the Osmo Pocket 3 and the Move Max stabilizer, and hopefully we'll find a really great car that we can do some rollers with. But stay tuned. If you guys want to, you can subscribe to the channel. Ultimately, my thoughts on the Osmo Pocket 3 is this thing exceeds expectations. Having 10-bit color, having a flat color profile are really some professional features that you would get out of some higher end cameras. Now, of course, we're using a smaller sensor, but realistically, it's pretty darn good as well, as long as you know how to use the settings. So if you guys want some additional help with settings, hit me up down below or subscribe, because we are going to be making more videos with the Osmo Pocket 3. I hope you guys enjoyed my first look at the Osmo Pocket. Thanks for watching. Love you guys, and I hope I will see you in the next video. Peace.